Hello and welcome to the Smart Women in Business vlog and podcast. I'm your host, Jay Mackay from Jay Mackay Communications, marketing consultant and coach who works with women across the world to build the business of their dreams. Today, I am very excited to be speaking with Sandy Forster. Sandy is the money mindset mentor for women worldwide who are ready to experience more abundance and freedom in their lives. Sandy went from welfare to millionaire, has been featured in Oprah's Aussie Secret, and loves inspiring and empowering women to break through their blocks, manifest more money, and create a life they're truly passionate about. Sandy's award-winning bestseller, How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast, has been translated into more than 11 languages. She's the host of the Wildly Wealthy Women podcast. We need more of those in the world. And she's transformed the lives of hundreds of thousands of women worldwide. Sandy lives in her own tropical paradise near the beach in sunny Australia, like me, and has wild kangaroos grazing in her backyard every afternoon. I'm very excited to have you on the show, Sandy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just such a great day all around, being on your podcast, the weather. I saw whales down the beach this morning. It was it's a good day.
It's a great day. It's the first day of spring.
Yes, first day of spring.
Yay. And September, which is a beautiful month. So I have read your book. And you have had quite a journey. So tell me about your business journey and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, great. Well, I guess it all started when I was at school. I loved sewing. I used to sew these little shorts and put them on consignment in a store down by the beach. Half of them got stolen. I don't ever remember getting paid, but I really enjoyed the whole process. So what happened was the aerobic era hit, and I decided that I needed nice leotards because you couldn't buy nice leotards back then. It was all black, low cap sleeves, low legs, very ugly. So I went and bought some Lycra thinking, oh, this will be great. This will be easy. And bought some Lycra and tried to sew, and Lycra is a whole different beast for anyone that's ever sewn before.
It is.
But I managed to master it, and I just loved being able to design my own leotards, my own gym wear. And so I had this so-called business. It was really just a hobby business that I was running. I was going out with a boy that I'd met in high school. We went out for about 10 years. Then we got married. And the money that I made from my hobby business basically just allowed us to do fun stuff, like put in a swimming pool, or we went on a holiday one year, or we bought some furniture, did some landscaping, did all the fun stuff. But then we got divorced, and I had a 6-month-old and a 3-year-old. And suddenly I was trying to have the money from my hobby business be my entire income, which wasn't working. And I just got further and further in debt. I tried to grow the business. I tried to turn it into a full-time serious business, and that just didn't work. And I ended up $100,000 in debt and on welfare. And it was really so stressful. I can't even begin to tell you what it was like. It was the pits. I felt super embarrassed about my situation because I thought the rest of the world had the money thing sorted, and I was the only idiot who didn't know what was going on. And I just felt really ashamed and just stressed to the max about the whole money situation. And it was around that time that I actually discovered the law of attraction, and that totally blew me away, because I guess until that time I tried to dive into sort of positive thinking, and I knew that it was good for you to think positively, but I didn't actually understand that we have the ability to create our lives. We have some control. I just thought life was life, and whatever it threw at you, that was it. So I was totally fascinated with the law of attraction, and not just fascinated, but totally in love with the fact that instead of focusing on my debts, which were over 100,000, and then focusing on the income that I was making, which at the time was around $15,000 a year. So sort of instead of focusing on that, I got to focus on what did I actually want? Like, I wanted to live in a beautiful home and drive a great car that didn't leak so much that it had a plant growing out the back of it when it rained, which is what my car did. I wanted to be able to travel. I wanted to be able to go to yoga and go to retreats and buy fresh flowers. Like, I just loved the fact that the law of attraction was all about focusing on what you did want. And so I completely fell in love with it. If for nothing else, for the reason that it made me feel good in the moment. It just took me away from that crappy life and instead made me feel great. So I really dived into it, and I feel really blessed and really lucky, and still quite amazed that I was able to go from welfare to millionaire. And so my absolute passion is just helping other women to do the same, to change the way they think around money, to rewire their subconscious mind, and to allow abundance to flow to them rather than chasing after it. That's basically my mission now.
Your mission is to empower women, because if we had more women with more money, the world would look incredibly different to what it does right now.
Totally different place. Yeah. And some countries around the world, you just have to shake your head at what's going on. And I think, even though we sometimes feel like, oh, we've got it a bit rough because maybe there's a glass ceiling when it comes to women, or maybe you can't earn as much, but honestly, we've got it really good. Like, just the very fact that whoever's here listening to this podcast right now, you are miles ahead of so many women around the world. So yeah, we need to make more money, we need to change our own lives, and then we need to step out there and help everyone else.
Help we all lift each other up. And I love that. So your business started with self-improvement guides, effectively, and you've evolved into, your journey has been incredible. When you're endorsed by Denise Duffield-Thomas on your website, you obviously know your stuff. And what I love about the law of attraction, and I could talk about it all day, but we won't, is you talked about how we feel that our life is predestined. That the law of attraction actually empowers you to change that with the power of your energy and make success inevitable. And it's that, so the law of attraction is as tangible and is intangible, as felt and unfelt as the law of gravity.
Exactly.
So do you want to tell people who aren't familiar with the law of attraction in a nutshell?
Yeah,
how
in a nutshell. So in a nutshell, there's two sides to the law of attraction. There's the kind of woo-woo, hippie, a bit out there side that people sometimes hear about. And then there's the scientific side. And the reason I love the law of attraction is, and the reason why I love this time in history, is because science and spirituality are now kind of meshing together. Yes. I was on a call in Clubhouse a month or so ago, and it was a call, it was all these actual quantum physicists and quantum scientists, and literally 99% of what they said just went straight over my head. I didn't know what they were talking about. But someone said something at one point, and he was like a full-on scientist, said that this is the first time in history that all the things that spirituality has been sharing over the centuries, that science is now actually able to quantify and qualify and confirm. And he's like, it's a really exciting time. And that to me was like, oh, just made my heart sing. So I guess the law of attraction is all about what you focus on, what you think about, what you talk about, what you have conversations with others about, what you worry about, what basically where you put your focus and energy is what you then attract back into your world. And it's not some woo-woo thing, although it seems like it. It's just that from the scientific angle, we have what's called a reticular activating system. So we've got this base part in the sort of base of our skull, our neck area, that is like a gateway. And basically you get to tell your subconscious what's super important to you. And what happens then is, from there, your subconscious is there filtering out everything that isn't important and only allowing things in that are important. So for instance, let's say you wanted a particular car, and that car became you got excited about the fact that you wanted this car that was on your dream board, that was the thing that you wanted. All of a sudden, when you're driving around, you kind of feel like you see that car more often. Like, is everyone suddenly buying that car? No. Suddenly that reticular activating system opens, and all the things that you see and hear to do with that car are allowed to come in. So, because think about it, we see tens of thousands, if not millions of things every day. Like right now, where I'm sitting, if you were to say, Sandy, what can you see when you look around? Well, I say, well, I can see some books and a candle and a candle holder and a desk and a computer, and I can see lights, and I can see the windows and the shutters and the trees outside. And the trees outside, there's a few different types of trees, and there's bark and there's leaves and there's twigs and different shades of green. And like, I could go on and on and on and on. Like literally, no matter where you're sitting right now, unless you're in a white box, you can see like so much. Your brain cannot cope dealing with all that information. It can't. So the reticular activating system keeps us sane and filters out what's not important, allows in what is important. So if you tell your brain, if you tell your subconscious that certain things are important, like success, creating abundance, being a millionaire, having freedom, being able to do the things you want, and you get really specific around it, and you think about it and you focus on it and you talk about it and you get excited about that, then basically you're planting the seeds in your subconscious that that's what is important. And then the reticular activating system opens up and allows those things, when you see them, to actually be noticed. Because think about it. Everything is there. It's basically like in the quantum field, everything is there. It's all there waiting for us. But our brain is filtering out what's not important, allowing in what is important. So if you spend your days watching the news, scrolling through social media, reading the newspapers, having conversations with co-workers and colleagues and friends and family about all the crap that's going on in the world, your reticular activating system says, whoa, this is so important to Sandy. Let's let all that information in, all those experiences, all those things that make her feel that way, which is bad, about all this bad stuff. Doesn't have to be that thing happen. So you might spend all your time watching TV and hearing about wars and sickness and this and that and the other. It makes you feel a certain way. So what happens is, you're training your subconscious that that's how you want to feel. And so you then see and experience and hear all the things that make you feel that way. It doesn't mean you're suddenly transported into a war or into being sick, but all the things that make you feel that same way, you then experience in your world. So you get to choose. And so the law of attraction is all about choosing what it is that you want to experience in your world, focusing on that, talking about that, having conversations about that, getting excited about that, imagining it's already real. And then all those things suddenly become very visible in your experience, because in your conscious mind is able to see it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it blows my mind, because I've sort of followed the law of attraction for a while, and then I got into the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I've other money coaches and things, but it's that connection with science and quantum physics that I went, oh, this is real. This isn't just woo. Like, I love crystals, I love meditating, I love all of that woo stuff. Woo, we call it woo, which is really downplaying it, but that energetic stuff. And then you start meshing that with the science, and you go, it's scientifically proven. Just like gravity is scientifically proven.
I know.
What a wonderful time to be alive.
I know. My brain is like, whoa, because I'm a Gemini. So part of me is very logical, but the other part of me is totally out there. So it's keeping both sides of my brain completely happy. And it's like, yes, this is so real. So yeah, I think we're really lucky though that we live in this time right now, because think about it, 50 years ago, if you've been talking about the law of attraction, they wonder what you're on about. I mean, even when I started as a coach, and that was probably around 20 years ago, and I said I was a coach, people would think that I was a surf life-saving coach. And if I said I taught the law of attraction, they thought I was all into dating. Like, people didn't get what it was all about. And think about it, going back even a little bit further, I don't know how far back it was, but they used to burn witches, so-called witches, at the stake. Like, you couldn't think differently. So we live in such an amazing time that as I said before, science and spirituality are really starting to mesh together,
Mm.
and things are getting proven that have never been able to be proven before. And this is only the start. Like, this is only the start. I cannot wait to see what unfolds in the next 5 or 10 years.
Oh,
It's
me
just
either.
magic
It's
stuff.
wild. And
Mm.
that is, it's magic, but it's magic now that's been scientifically proven. So
Yes.
it's just, I mean, incredible. So on your business, so your business has been through many changes. So
Yes.
what, for the women who are at every stage of business, what were the signs it was time for you to change how you did business? Because wildly wealthy women run successful businesses generally.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess for me, like, my very first real business was the swim and gym wear, and that was just such a disaster. I just kept going backwards more and more every single week and every single month, expanding my overdraft at the bank. It was just out of control. So I realized that wasn't for me. So it was around that time, as I said, I discovered the law of attraction. But the really cool thing was, the course that I discovered was actually based around direct sales. So it was actually a course that I not only fell in love with and changed my life, but was able to tell others about and make money from. And from there, because I had so much success there, my accountant contacted me and said, Sandy, I've been in contact with Robert Kiyosaki's real estate mentor, and I want to start telling my clients about this amazing course, and it's a home study course, and there's some seminars, but I don't really want to talk to them about it. And I know you've had really great success in direct sales before. I'd love to partner up. And even though I said no at the start, my brain was going, no, don't do it, don't do it. My heart was going, I think I need to look into this. Anyway, I ended up going ahead. And that business was really kind of pivotal, because after we'd been in it probably, I don't know, not even a year, I suddenly woke up one morning with the name Wildly Wealthy Women in my head. So I just jumped straight online, registered the domain name, and just thought nothing more of it. Just, someone had once said, when you think of a domain name, register it, because someone else will.
Yeah.
So I did. And then about 3 or 4 months later, we were both at a seminar over in the States. And I said to her, I've got this idea. I know that we're selling this course and it's really great that people are learning, but I think that we should have a course, a program called Wildly Wealthy Women. And it's completely changed since then. But back then it was like, I think we should be Wildly Wealthy Women, and we should have Wildly Wealthy Women's Wicked Weekends, where we get together and you teach all the practical stuff around the course and around money, and I'll teach all the mindset stuff. Anyway, long story short, she said yes. We launched that program, made close to $2 million in a matter of months, because I guess it was one of the very first women's only kind of mentoring programs in the world. Like, think about it now. Every man and his dog has every woman and her dog has a mentoring program of some sort for women. Yeah. But back then it was so new, and so we just launched, and basically launched that first year just in Australia, and women were just so hungry to be able to learn practical side of money as well as the mindset. And when they put the two together, absolute magic happened. And, we were able to create Millionaires. It was just so much fun. But around that time, I'd also become a coach. So I trained to become a coach. And whilst I loved coaching one-on-one, I am so not organized enough. And my highest value is freedom.
Yeah.
So coaching one-on-one, kind of back to back and throughout the week, was too much for me. So I decided I would start group coaching, which I loved. And I realized very early on that whilst my plan when I had become a coach was to kind of focus on executives, because I knew companies paid for executives to be coached and I wouldn't have to find clients. I thought, although that seemed like a great idea, once I started coaching executives, I hated it. So I really enjoyed coaching people around law of attraction. So that's how I actually created success as a coach to start with. I really enjoyed that. I really saw changes made. I was able to transform people's lives, and I went from one-on-one to group coaching. And then we incorporated that obviously into Wildly Wealthy Women. But I had so many people see what I was doing and creating that success. And I guess from the outside, I thought it was because I was taking lots of action. But the bottom line is it was because I was using law of attraction in everything that I was doing. If I wanted to create some sort of success in my business, I would use the different processes and exercises I put together. And I had so many that I wanted to share them with people. I put it in a book, and that's how I wrote How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast. And then people wanted to become coaches like I was. And so after about 8 or 9 years of people saying, I want to do what you're doing. I want to work from home and work in the personal development industry and help other people. And I want to be able to make as much money as I want. And so I launched the Inspired Spirit Coaching Academy. So I went from basically doing something that I loved, which was making swim and gym wear, but not being very good at it, to then being a coach and then launching a mentoring program, writing my book, and then launching the Inspired Spirit Coaching Academy. But everything sort of after the swim and gym wear, everything from there is very much been focused on mindset and manifesting and attracting abundance, and really helping women to not only attract abundance, but break through the blocks, because you can attract sometimes, but then it disappears just as quickly, or else you do something really crazy, stupid in your life, and you end up with this huge bill. We have this kind of comfort zone when it comes to money, and unless you learn how to break through that, you're going to continue to experience the same kind of level of finances, even if you get good at manifesting. So that's my whole passion, as I said, helping women to really get to that point. So the business has been like such a crazy roller coaster, but the thing that I've always loved is that name, Wildly Wealthy Women. It's just, I remember being on a retreat in Bali with Jack Canfield.
Yeah.
And I told him, I had this business called Wildly Wealthy Women. And he was like, oh my God, that is worth $1 million, just the name alone. He said, it just sort of rolls off the tongue. It's really cool. So yeah, it's been my baby since the start. And even though once someone offered me $1 million for it, I said, no, I want to keep it.
It's part of my identity now.
It is. Yes, exactly.
So you talk about creating your ideal day. That was one of the first things you talked about in your book. And so what's your ideal day look like now?
Oh my gosh. I honestly, today is probably my ideal day. So get up in the morning. First thing I do, I meditate, then I visualize, then I grab the dog. We go for a walk down the beach. This morning was spectacular. First day of spring, blue skies, a whale jumping out of the ocean. It's like, oh my gosh, this doesn't get any better. I come back, I go to the gym, I came home, had a bite to eat. I'm on a podcast with you, empowering women all over the place. It's like, seriously, I live my ideal day now. And I remember when I didn't. And I remember when I was constantly stressed and worried and working my butt off, like crazy busy working. And the reason was I didn't know about the law of attraction. I didn't know. I was so busy doing the doing. And I think when you use the law of attraction, when you start to train your subconscious mind, what happens is things start to flow. Like coincidences happen. You start to get connected to certain people, and you hear about certain things that are going to support you. Like all sorts of amazing things happen when you use the law of attraction. But I always say to people, the law of attraction, as amazing as it is, people often kind of get stuck in just the thinking part, which is the mind. All right. But they have to understand, and this is what I teach all my students, it's all about body, mind, and spirit. Body, mind, and spirit. So it's all about your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. When you're getting all three aligned, that's when the magic can happen. If you're just thinking, thoughts about being abundant, but you're laying on the couch watching TV all day, well, it ain't going to happen. But if you're busy doing all the busy work, but then not feeling abundant, then yes, you might create some success, but it's not going to stay. So it's body, mind, and spirit. You've got to bring the feelings into it. You've got to actually feel abundant. You've got to feel prosperous. So when you do that, when you align body, mind, and spirit, as I always say, that's when the magic happens.
So how then, and we'll probably talk about this more later, but how, if you're not feeling abundant, and we've all been there, what's a way to turn that around? Because a lot of women live in lack, and they live in poverty, and for them it's very a real experience. And I won't go into the tip that you have in the book, but how do you focus and grow the abundance that you do have?
Yeah. There's so many different ways. And I think, I mean, I've been there. I've been $100,000 in debt on welfare. So I know what it's like. But for me personally, the thing that completely changed everything for me was visualization. Like, there's nothing like closing your eyes, and especially guided visualization. So I give my students dozens and dozens of different guided visualizations because I know how powerful they are. But listening to someone taking you through a journey, because I could say to you, close your eyes and think about abundance and prosperity and think about your ideal life. But if you were then to go away and try and do that by yourself, I know in my own experience, I probably close my eyes and then I'd start focusing on what I wanted. And then I'd think about whether I'd lock the door, and I think about whether I'd taken the phone off the hook, and I think about whether the dog was okay or the cat was chasing it, because that's what happens in our house at the front.
Think about what you're going to cook for dinner.
Yeah, it's like you just get completely kind of off track. And obviously when you're thinking that way, you're not putting any energy into manifesting. You're not putting any energy into your dream. And the energy is because the thought sends the feeling or the signal out. The thought sends your order to the ears of the universe. But your feelings are what attract your order back to you. And so you've got to have that energy in there. So visualization for me personally works like a dream. I love guided visualizations. In fact, I'm a bit on tenterhooks at the moment because I have my iPhone has probably about 100 now different affirmations and guided visualizations and declarations, all these things on my phone. And I dropped it in the pool this morning. So it's sitting in a bag of rice.
I was going to say,
out in the sun at the moment. So I'm just hoping it's all beautiful. I see it as being perfect.
Phone is dry.
I know. Phone is dry. Phone is working. Phone is fabulous.
Fine.
So
it's my favorite tool as well. I've come out of quantum visualization meditations crying with joy. And gratitude.
And that's the energy you need. I think people sometimes think things like affirmations or vision boards or any of the different processes you can use, they do them, but they just do them. They don't get that you have to actually infuse them with that feeling, because the feeling is what creates the magic. It's the feeling that allows it to come to life. It's the power that actually makes it all work. So if you're not putting that energy into it, then you may as well just be saying your maths timetables. It's like you've got to put energy into it.
And it's funny because people go, I do my mantras and I do this and I do that. And it's like, but you need to anchor it in that emotion, and your body needs to be conditioned to experiencing that emotion.
Exactly. Because the bottom line is it all comes back to feeling. So like you can't create from a place of fear. You can't create from a place of scarcity, which is anchored in fear. You can't create from those places, because think about it. Way back in caveman days, so the whole thing was you laid around, you ate your berries, you ate your whatever you wanted, you did whatever. And then if a woolly mammoth came, you went into fear. Okay, you went into fear. You was fight, flight, freeze, whatever it was, but you went into fear. And fear is not a time to be creating. Fear is a time to get the hell out of there. And so these days, our bodies are very much wired exactly the same, even though it's like centuries ago, we're wired the same. And what happens is things happen throughout our day. Like you get an email from someone about something and you realize, oh, I was supposed to do that. And you had that burst of fear. And then you go to do something and you realize, oh, this is such a big project. You have that burst of fear. You go to the letterbox and there's a bill and you have that burst of fear. We're filled with fear because back in the olden days, back in caveman days, they had that fear once and then they got out of that fear. And then, it might be days, weeks, months where they didn't have that fear again. Whereas we are wired to constantly be in that place of fear, constantly, because fear, even though it's not a woolly mammoth, it still does something to our nervous system. And when you're in that place of stress or fear, you're not sending a beautiful, clear signal out to the universe. So the first thing I teach my students is you've just got to start to feel safe. You've got to start to feel safe. So there's many different processes you can do to just do that, like just breathing, breath work, all sorts of things to make you feel safe. Bring your nervous system into a place of neutrality. And from that place of neutrality, then you can start to think about what it is you want to create. Then you can start to focus on what you want. And, gratitude is a brilliant way to actually bring yourself into that neutrality and then move beyond that. Gratitude, and that's just being grateful for what you have now, not even going to that place of imagining it and getting excited about what you create. It's just being grateful for what you have right now in this moment. And a lot of people might say, oh, my life is really bad. I've got so much going on. I've got nothing to be grateful for. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Think about it for a second. Did you sleep in a bed last night? Did you have a pillow? Did you have a blanket? Did you have a roof over your head? When you got up, were you able to go somewhere where there was running water? Like, seriously, we have so much to be grateful for. And I think often we just tend to take it for granted. And so sometimes it's really cool just to do a gratitude day where you just every moment of that day, whatever's going on, you're grateful for it. And then honestly, you'll be so bombarded with gratitude. Because one of my mentors once said, if there are people out there, and I'm talking about billions of people, who, if they could live your life for just one day, they would be living a life so far beyond their wildest dreams. It's not funny.
It's their version of paradise.
Their version of paradise. And as I keep saying, if someone's listening to this, it means you are so far ahead of so many people in the world. You have so much to be grateful for, so much to be grateful for. And you need to really spend some time in gratitude, because gratitude is an amazing attractor. Like when you spend time in gratitude, what happens is that feeling, because gratitude isn't a thinking thing, it's a feeling thing. So when you spend time in that feeling of gratitude, you then become more magnetic to all the things that are out there that are going to make you feel more grateful. So you then start to draw people and circumstances and experiences and things into your life that allow you to become even more grateful.
Like having Sandy Forster on your podcast.
Thank you.
So having a successful business, how do you manage your day-to-day? What are your favorite tools? Because we can't, I think that people have a perception that women who run spiritual, soul-led businesses sit around and meditate all day, which would be nice, but there is the doing that needs to be done. Obviously, we do. Yes.
But the practical side, look, the internet, like seriously, without the internet, I wouldn't even have a business. So the internet is it. Having project management software is like that literally saved my sanity. Because honestly, I remember when all my communication used to be through email, and then you'd have to try and find an email and a thread and the answer and the blah, blah, blah. And it was like, oh. So definitely project management software it's made my life just so much more blissful, because you can easily find a project, a task, an answer to something. It's just, so that would have to be right up there as one of my major things that you need when you have a business of any sort. The other thing that I think is really important is, and I know most people are probably, this might sound silly, but are probably more advanced in me than this, is have some sort of plan. Like, I don't have a plan. Just so I'm really transparent here, I don't have a plan. I've never had a plan. I do what I want every day. And that has served me well. Like, I have made millions of dollars. So, to a point, that's really served me well. But I've come to the conclusion that a plan, while it sounds a bit scary to my freedom-based mind, it's actually probably the best thing for me. And so I'm actually, believe it or not, making a plan next week for my business.
That's exciting.
So I've actually got a plan to have a plan.
I love the planning of the plan, because it gives you that end goal, and it really does give you a tool with which to see, does this feel aligned? Am I on the right path? Is this what I want to do? Will this have impact? Yeah.
And the other side of the plan is you can always change the plan. I think too often people think they've got a plan, they've got to go from start to finish and they can't deviate. Whereas I'm very much like, like if I have an idea, like one of the things I teach my students is we all hear about ready, aim, fire. So ready is have that idea. Aim is get everything all lined up, all your ducks in a row, get everything perfect, make sure, everything is just as it should be. And then fire, get started, let people know about it, promote it. I'm a little bit different. I teach ready, yep, come up with an idea, fire, just get it out into the world, and aim. Then tweak it, improve it, make it better. Because if I was to do it the other way around with the aiming in the middle, I would be stuck in that little, place forever. I would never get out of aiming because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And a procrastinator. So procrastinator, perfectionist is like, probably the worst sort of person to ever have a business. So when you just do what I do, ready, fire, aim, you find that you can create so much easier, so much faster, and you just make it better, because that's the part that you usually like doing, tinkering and tweaking and making it nicer and better handouts and better information and, adding. So for me, that's really served me so well, because I know if I didn't aim as my second step, I probably would not have made the money I've made, wouldn't have created the success I've made, wouldn't have written a book, wouldn't have put online courses, wouldn't have done anything, because it would all seem too hard. Like trying to create a course from start to finish before you launch it. Oh, that does my head in just even thinking about it. So it's like, make it up as you go. When I say make it up as you go, have an outline, like have an idea of what you're going to do. It's not making up in the second, but have an idea. And then, because I find for me personally, not everyone's like this, but if someone said to me, Sandy, I need you to create a course on this, and even if it was my top of the mind, best subject that I knew, if I sat down to create a course, it would take me so long. But if someone said to me, Sandy, I need you to stand up in front of this live audience for 2 days and speak on this thing, bang, could do it. No notes, no nothing, just do it. Yeah. Then take the recording of that, turn it into a transcription, get it all transcribed, take all the transcriptions in the Word documents and just edit it. And then you've got your course or your book or whatever it is you want to create. That for me, that works so much better. So, it's all about the ready, fire, just get it done, fix it up later.
I wonder how many ideas are stuck in that aim.
There's so many ideas have died in the aim phase.
It's sad.
There's so many people have got like ideas that they never move on, and even ideas that are so unique, and then they see someone else has done it because they've been stuck in the aim. So it's like, just do it.
And even if someone else,
just do it.
Even if someone else has done it, you're always going to have a different perspective. You always have a different place you're coming from.
Exactly. And that's
a different
thing.
vibe.
I think we're really lucky in that these days people are not so much drawn necessarily to a piece of information. They're drawn to the person who delivers the information. They're drawn to you. So if whoever you are listening now, whatever business you have, don't think, oh, she's already done that, or he's already done that, or it's already out there. It's like, no. You're the one that they're seeking. So you got to come back to, it's not just us on the practical plane. It's also us on the quantum plane, the quantum field. So energetically, they are waiting for you, for your service, your thing, the thing that you have, only you have, in the way that you deliver it, and whatever that happens to be. People are waiting for that. And so don't get sidetracked or jealous or feel less than by looking at what everyone else is doing. There's people waiting for just you. So you've just got to get out there, get whatever you have out into the world, and just know that there's people there just waiting to sign up, pay, join, buy, whatever.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I say to my clients is someone out there is waiting for you to show up and change their life.
Exactly.
And you've just got to energetically show up as that person. So one of the things that I always bring up on my podcast, because it's something that affects every person except one I've ever met in business, is imposter syndrome. So how do you respond to the bad days in business? Because we all have them.
Oh, we all have them. I don't have them nearly as much as I used to.
No, me either.
Seriously, I used to have so bad. Like I remember winning an award. It was, what was it? was some big award that I won. I don't know if it was top 10 women entrepreneurs in Australia or whether it was a mentor of the year, some award. I remember winning it in 1 second, feeling really excited, and then the next second crying, because it was like, but who am I? I'm just Sandy from the Sunshine Coast. And if they really knew, my life and what I do, they wouldn't think I was so impressive and I shouldn't have really won it. And I'm like, seriously, it's just, I think the thing is these days, once upon a time, successful people were so far, like they seem so far above us. So we've got it in our mind that we have to be this something special to create success, to be able to even, aspire to that. And so when we're out there doing our own thing, there's part of us that is still stuck in that place thinking, oh, but who am I? I remember when I first started being a coach, that came up so much. Like just at the very start of my journey, who am I to be coaching other people when my life is a mess? Like my brain couldn't compute, and I almost didn't want to coach anyone. At one stage, I actually stopped because my brain just couldn't figure out why was I doing this when my life was such a mess. But I think what I came to realize was coaching is not about being an expert, not about being the know-all, not about having all the answers. Coaching, or the way that I teach others to coach, is about drawing the answers out of the client, about just guiding the client with questions and allowing them to come up with the ideas and allowing them to come up with the actions they should take, allowing them to come up with the plan. You're just prompting them, guiding them and steering them in the right direction, because and for me, that was so liberating, because I had huge imposter syndrome. And I actually remember it came back to my mother used to take us to swimming lessons. And I remembered my mum saying one day, because I asked her, I think it was Mrs. Hopwood, why doesn't she ever get in the pool? She's always yelling from the sidelines at us to lift our arms and turn our heads and breathe deeper and kick our legs. But she never gets in the pool. Like, she just really annoys me. And Mum said, it's because she can't swim. And I was like, my brain was like, what? But it was like, she didn't need to be the best swimmer to actually get everyone to be great swimmers. Like, she had so many people that won medals and did amazing things. But so she just knew what it took to bring the best out in people. And for me, that was so pivotal in relaxing into being a coach, relaxing into who I was, and not thinking that I had to be this, guru to be able to coach others. Because as long as I was able to draw out of people their best, then that's what you're supposed to do. So yeah, imposter syndrome, I think it hits everyone. And the thing to remember is it's not just us, not just us women that are working from home that think, who am I? I'm just sitting in what am I sitting in now? My spare bedroom. It's like
I'm in my tiny study.
Yeah. It's like, honestly, I've even heard Oprah Winfrey say that she has imposter syndrome. Like, she just feels like, who am I? I was just this little black girl who was abused when I was young, and like, who am I? So everyone has it at some point. But I think the way to kind of get over it is to just, again, come back to being grateful. Be grateful for what you have, and know that your life is, and where you are in your business and whatever you have now, it may not be the top of the pile, but it's better than so many others. And so be grateful for what you have and what you're doing, and just know that as long as you're able to support others in whatever way you can and help others in whatever way you can, as long as you're like 1 or 2 steps ahead of them, then that's all they need. Because I remember when I started as a prosperity coach, I did not have $1 million. Back then, I did not have $1 million. In fact, back then, I didn't even have $100,000. Like, I didn't, but what I was sharing with people and what I was encouraging people to do and what I was really inspiring people around was I was just a few steps ahead of them. So I was able to move them forward. And, since then, obviously, I've created my own success, created millions and millions of dollars, and I've helped so many others. Like you said earlier, Denise Duffield-Thomas. I remember when she started working with me, and she went through a number of my programs, and one of them was my coach training program. And I remember her saying that very first month she made $225, and how excited she was that she was doing that, just following the Inspired Spirit Coaching Academy process word for word. And, since then she's gone on to create a multi-million-dollar business. And, I've had many people that have gone through our academy and gone through my different trainings go on to become millionaires. And it's so, oh my gosh, it's so exciting for them, obviously. But for me, it's like, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a mother hen. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel like that.
Another millionaire.
So
It's so exciting. It is. It's so wonderful, because I know how, millionaire, the money, yes, it's amazing. But honestly, the change that it makes in yourself, like whatever level of abundance you create, yes, the money is amazing. And yes, the choices you have become more amazing. And yes, life, in my opinion, becomes more amazing. But I think more than anything, it's who you become in the process.
Yeah.
And, how you change and how you evolve and how you transform. And that then allows your whole life to be different. So the money is amazing, but the transformation of who you are is even better. So yeah, it really comes down to whatever your dreams are, whatever your goals are, whatever your aspirations are, anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible when you use the power of the law of attraction, use the power of quantum science, use the power of all these things wrapped together. Because, look at me. I dropped out of school in grade 11. I didn't finish high school. Didn't even finish high school. I had no additional education, no people that I knew that had any money. I had no support, I had no great skills. I literally had nothing. But I discovered the law of attraction. I completely engaged in it in every single day. It was my full-time job. I didn't just dip my toe in and do an affirmation here and there. I literally almost made it my full-time job. I was constantly aware of what I was thinking, how I was feeling, and what I was doing. And as I said before, when you combine those three, thoughts, feelings, and actions, magic can happen.
And I love that. And through the book, your personality comes through, and you're still Sandy. There's this perception
I'm still
that
Sandy.
when people make millions of dollars, they change.
They don't. They're the same person.
They're
the same person, just they're more of who they are.
Yeah.
So if you are an asshole before, when you make money, you're going to be a bigger asshole. So it's like people are scared they're going to turn into someone bad, but you literally just become more of who you are. Yeah. And so, if you're an okay person now, you're going to become even more okay.
And it gives you the freedom to be more of who you are.
It does. When you take that stress off, because I remember being $100,000 in debt, and they talk about the weight of the world on your shoulders. I literally felt crushed. I felt my soul was being crushed. I had no choices. Just little things. We'd be down the street and my kids, I remember they'd say, oh, can I have a bag of chips, or can I have an ice cream? And it would always be no. And in the end, they never even asked, because they knew the answer was always no, that we never had any choices to do anything because we had no money. So being able to change that and, take my kids to trek to Machu Picchu and take them swimming with the dolphins in Hawaii and flying by helicopter over where they filmed Jurassic Park, and being able to say to my daughter, I'm going to take you shopping, because she loves shopping, she loves clothes. And
So
her saying, when are you going to take me shopping? And one day saying, I'm going to take you shopping. And instead of going down the local mall, we flew to New York and took her shopping over there and saw Broadway shows and did the Sex in the City tour. And being able to do fun stuff like that, being able to buy my parents, who'd never in their entire life had a new car, being able to buy.
I love the stories of your parents' car in the book.
I know.
If you haven't read the book, you've got to read it.
I know. It's that's what makes having money and choices cool. That's what really lights me up. And so some people think, oh, I don't want more money, that's greedy. But think about how you can change not just your life, but other people's lives. The effect that you can have on maybe your family or friends or people you don't even know. I've helped build a school in Ghana for kids, for girls that would never have been able to go to school otherwise. I've donated money to organizations that give microloans, that lend money out for people to start their small business, and then the money's lent back and lent out to someone else. And it just like helps hundreds of thousands of women in the end, not just change their life, but the lives of those people around them. So don't always, some people, as I said, think that having more money is being greedy, but stop thinking that way and think about, as we said at the very start, the more women that have money, the more of a difference we can make in the world, the more choices we have, and then the more, because obviously at the start, I don't expect people to any money they make start helping the world.
Yeah.
Because I know when I had no money, I did not in one way, shape or form, and this probably sounds really greedy, but in one way, shape or form, did not think about helping other people. All I wanted in that moment was to help myself. I was the one drowning. I was the one that was so far in debt that my life was such a mess. That's all I could focus on at the start. And it wasn't till I was able to get beyond that and then create a level of abundance that I had never dreamt of, that I was able to help others. So at the start, it is all about you, and it is all about making your life better. But, as you move beyond that, that's when you can start to really make a difference in the world. And that's what I'm here to support other women to do.
Amplifying impact.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, I love that. I love that.
So how do you maintain your sense of community? You mentioned before we came on air that you just had a retreat. Lucky you, we're in lockdown, which is why my kids and everything's in the background. But how's your community up there?
We are blessed. Like, seriously, Queensland, when it comes to this whole debacle, is the best place to be. And for me, being an absolute introvert, I was actually interviewed by the ABC, was it earlier this week or last week, about being an introvert. Like, I know lots of people say, oh, I'm an introvert, but then they have house cleaners and nannies and full-time help around them all the time. It's like, no
people in my house.
I couldn't do that. No, thank you.
No, me either.
So for me, community is just having a few close friends and then doing things that I love, like being part of something, but not necessarily having to socialize and interact with everyone. So I love things like meditation evenings, and I love things like breath work workshops. I love going to workshops. I find I'm better at mingling with people when we're doing something.
Yeah.
I find the whole sitting around talking about crap a complete waste of time. So it's like, we can talk about law of attraction, we can talk about manifesting, we can talk about all the good stuff, but if we're not going to do that, then we have to be doing something. So yeah. But as I said, I'm super, super lucky that Queensland, I wouldn't even know that there was anything going on, because I'm not a sanitizer, I'm not a face mask wearer. I mean, that's probably going to turn people off, but I'm super healthy. I'm never going to get sick. My dad's 94 and he's super healthy. I've got his genes. I'm never getting anything. I'm never passing anything on to anyone else. So, really lucky. But even if that wasn't happening, Queensland is the perfect place to be living in these crazy times. So,
sunny coast. Lucky. I love the sunny coast. Yeah. So what's your, you've spoken about this, but what's your why? What keeps you motivated every day? We'll just retouch on it.
I think it's really the freedom of being able to do what I want when I want, the freedom to be able to live my life the way I really, the way that makes my heart sing. I have to say, though, one thing has been curtailed. I love travel. Like, I've been to over 52 countries around the world, and I just am kind of bursting to go somewhere right now. Like, I've got on my list, I want to go and trek the El Camino. So I think it's from France to Spain, or somewhere around there. I don't know. But I can't wait. I just know I'm going to do the long one, and I'm going to trek for days and days and days and days, weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm just going to love it. So yeah, but really what my why is having the freedom to do the things that I want to do and sharing. Like, the good thing about me and learning is that I cannot help myself but share with everyone who will listen. That I get more joy from sharing things that I know work than I do from even doing it for myself. So sometimes people say, well, when are you going to retire? It's like, retire? You better be kidding. I love what I do. I love changing people's lives. I love hearing those success stories. I love being able to be part of someone's complete transformation. So yeah, that's my big why. I just love what I do. I love my business. I would be doing this even if I made no money. I'd still be doing it. So yeah, it's cool.
I love it. I love it. So obviously we've talked about your book, but how to be
wildly wealthy fast. Yeah,
I've got it, but I've got it on my Kindle. So what are your tips for the smart women in business across the world?
First of all, the thing you really want to do is you want to get really clear on what you want. Like, what do you want to manifest in life? What's going to make your heart sing? And I don't mean one or two things. Make a huge list of all the things that make your heart sing. And then the next thing you want to do, if you've got a business, you want to find yourself a mentor. Find yourself someone like you. So just find someone who's already doing it and creating the success that you want. Because I know my own experience, finding mentors just cuts that learning curve. You can learn what mistakes not to make. You can learn the right steps to take. You can save time, money, energy. Like, seriously, getting a mentor. And then not just getting a mentor and then learning, because a lot of people do that. Once you learn from that mentor, take action on what you learn. Take action on what you learn, because when you take action, as I said, that's the great part. So thinking about what you want, getting excited about what you want, feeling as if you've already got it, that's your mind and that's your feelings, and then taking action steps toward what you want by following someone who's already done it. And the last thing is be persistent. Like, so many people give things a go. They dabble, they try it out, but they don't give it everything that they've got. And the only way you're going to know if something works is really give it your all. And if it doesn't work, change direction. But when you only dabble, you never actually get to the point to know whether something works. And people jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and then wonder why nothing works. I always liken it to my brother. So he used to have this magnifying glass, and he would go out in the street on the footpath, and he'd have his magnifying glass, and the sun would hit the magnifying glass, and he'd either, depending on what was around on the day, he'd either set the leaves on fire, or if there were some unlucky ants around, sometimes that would happen too. But he would have this magnifying glass, and that's like your focus, your energy. When you focus on one thing, it creates this, it like self-combusts with this energy that is so attractive and allows things to come to you. But when and that's the sun can do that just by that magnified, like putting it all in the one place, just that focus. So it's the same with you and your thoughts. When you're thinking about this business and that thing you can do and the other thing you can do and all the things you can do, you don't have the energy to actually get that thing and make it like, whoo, happen. Yeah. So just rein yourself in. Think about the next thing that you can do in your business. It's really going to make a difference, and put all your focus on that. And then you'll be amazed at how quickly it can actually move forward rather than trying to do 20 things at once. Because I think women particularly have been sold this myth of multitasking is like, we're so clever, we can multitask. But we're not being clever, we're being a bit stupid. You need to focus on one thing, really put all your energy, your focus, your thought, your actions into that thing, and make it happen, make it really happen, and then bring something else into the mix. But put all your energy into one thing.
Just get it done.
Just
get it done. So how can all the smart women in business find out more about you and what you do, Sandy?
Best way is probably go to wildlywealthy.com, wildlywealthy.com. But everyone who's listening today, I've got a little Wildly Wealthy bundle for you. So if you go to wildlywealthyfree.com, I've got a guided visualization, some affirmations, some things that are going to really start to put you into that abundance vibration. So yeah, amazing. More than welcome to jump over there. Free little bundle for you.
Thank you so much, Sandy. I'll put the links in the show notes. And thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.